Hello, welcome to our HF community call. And I don't think, did we do a call last week? We didn't with Veterans Day.
No.
So is this our first call of the month? It can't be because no, it's our second call of the month. Okay, but it feels like the month just started and it's almost over. We're heading into the really crazy, chaotic time of year. And well, first off, before we talk through our call topic for the day, I have very exciting news. We finally, at this moment, have gone live with the HF website. Our new website is live, hungryfitness.co. So go check it out. It We're excited. I know you guys probably aren't as excited, but it matches our branding. So we're very excited to have updated branding, updated photos. Although we have two new coaches since we took photos, so we have to take more photos always. But aesthetically, we're very happy on our end. So hopefully you are as well. And then the good news for you guys is that we are running our biggest sale of the year on one-on-one coaching. We have not done a sale for new clients on one-on-one coaching for I think 2 years. So this is huge. So if you have any friends that have considered one-on-one coaching, this is the time for them to sign up. The sale will be live until December 2nd. Or if you want to sign up yourself and you've considered it, now is a really great time to sign up for one-on-one coaching. So you can view that at hungryfitness.co. And then also we have gift cards that we just launched. They're kind of generic. We're working on getting like more specified ones, but we had a few requests for it just in the past couple of days. So we wanted to get something up on the website. So you can go on, purchase a gift card, whether that be for subscription programming, maybe like a year purchase, or for a consultation, macro consult, or a strategy call, or we did our nutrition coaching paid in full price as well. And so you can go on and purchase a gift card and then send it to a friend or family member. And that is working now as well. So if there's like a gift card amount that you need, let us know and we'll try to add that. But this was like a very last minute ad just based on some requests. So we got that up there, but we're refining it. So with that being said, hopefully all of you enjoy and take advantage of the Black Friday sale. And in preparation for the holidays, Coach Jess is going to be expounding a little bit more on the email that was sent out yesterday, talking about how thinking patterns can influence our goals. So super excited for this topic, and I will turn it over to you, Jess. Let me
Okay.
have you share your screen here. Okay, and make you the host.
Okay. Let me pull that up. Okay, remind me where the share screen is. Sorry.
At the bottom, it should just say share in green, or
Yeah,
you
it
can
says
click on
share. Okay.
more.
Okay. Yep, I think
It's
we're
like
good.
always in a new spot.
I do feel like it moves, especially
I swear it does.
I mean, okay. Now I just want, can you see it now? I
Yes.
just need to make it bigger, huh? Expand the email. Is that good?
Yep.
Is it full screen now on your end?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I will let people come in as they enter. So, yes, this absolutely applies to daily but also timely for holidays because it's busier, it could be more hectic, there could be more triggering things. Family time can be wonderful, family time can be hard, but we can control our response and there's a lot of uncontrollables. I like to say often, everything is out of our control except our response. And coming from a person who definitely used to live in this space of, oh, I feel like if I can find the perfect little equation and have all of these ducks in a row, and then it will feel better, more calm, like I can like relax. And the reality is everything is out of our control. We can see this in our day to day. We can see this if we have children. We can see this in our relationships. What we do and our action behavior, it does create a ripple effect, and we are intertwined and connected, and it impacts one another. But ultimately, we can only control our response. And this also applies with if you are working with a coach. And yes, honey. Okay. My kids aren't at school today. So also out of my control. So when we can come here and choose into how we want to respond to something, what I was going to say is if you worked with a coach and you have goals, working with a coach or not, but this is where a coach can be very helpful, is bringing things to a neutral when maybe we have some expectations around timeline, or we want things to be happening quicker. But, sometimes we get rolling with our goals and then we have sickness of our own or within our family, and we can't do things quite as our capacity changes, right? So there's a lot to be aware of in our thinking patterns. And I believe when we recognize that and create pause, and also giving ourselves grace in like what truly is the capacity, being realistic with our expectations, being aware of our own personal thinking patterns that are potentially causing roadblocks for us and getting in the way of getting to our goals. It really opens up the journey to be a lot more expansive and a lot more like coming from a place of curiosity rather than like, no, this is how I wanted it to be. Da, 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 da. And again, that's where a coach can be very helpful. We work hard as coaches to help our clients recognize, again, when sometimes thinking patterns are maybe hindering progress, or thinking patterns are having clients feel like, well, I'm not making any success. So I'm just going to go through with this email some common things that come up. And again, we all have habits of thinking that play into the background, and these stem from our thinking patterns can stem from a lot of places. We are all unique individuals. We have all had different lived experiences, and we have different lenses. Certain thinking patterns, 100% may have been a place of safety and protection at one point, but that doesn't mean they're still benefiting us, helping us, keeping us safe, all of those things. So that's why it is important to like continuously be doing a check-in with self so that we can see where we're at and if our thinking patterns are getting in the way. So again, our thinking patterns influence our actions and our results. This can be broad, our actions in life, or our actions toward a goal or habit we're trying to create. So personally, I became more aware in my own thinking patterns as I dove into my schooling of becoming a therapist and working with others. It is essential to be aware of our own thinking patterns and blocks and judgments and all of those things. So I started to slow down and become aware of my own thinking patterns, being an oldest child and coming from a place of like, again, kind of like I explained, that place of order. If everything's just like perfect, then I will find this place of peace. I will be able to, do my best. But it was coming and recognizing that I couldn't control everything. I could only control my own response to what was going on around me. So breaking down patterns that aren't supporting us anymore is a big part of this process. So tuning in and challenging those thoughts, that's where change can really be created. So The way we think has a profound impact on our actions. It's our thinking creates our reality, and again, that thinking can either help us or hinder us. Studies show that our beliefs and inner dialogue influence not only our choices, but even our psychological responses. With practice, positive thinking patterns can become more automatic, helping us approach goals with greater confidence, resilience, and ease. And that doesn't mean that we can't ever have other, it's not like everything is positive, everything is great all the time. That's not the other side of it. It is, how can we recognize, when just a pattern is hindering us and we maybe need to just shift and make another direction there. So a very common one that we see is all or nothing thinking. So an example of this would be, I ate the cake, so I may as well give up on my healthy eating goals. I ruined everything. It can be kiddo had a birthday party the next morning. We're tired. There's some cake on the counter. That's how I'm going to start my day. Well, how many times have us coaches, we've all heard it, I ate the cookies, I ate the cake, F it, I'll start next Monday, I'll start, it's just like, if it can't be perfect, and this kind of intertwines with, I will go into like perfectionism thinking as well, but this is a very fixed mindset. If we think about just, okay, you ate a piece of cake to start off your day. All right, maybe not the most effective choice for the goal, but again, we neutralize it. We take the shame out of it. This is honestly one of my favorite things to do with my clients, is to, we also have all these deep rooted things from toxic diet culture, the way maybe our parents did food, so many layers, right? And so we can look at that. It's not just I ate the cake. It's like, I ate the cake, I suck, I'm never going to get my goals, this is why I'm fat. Like, these are heard these over and over from clients. But when we stop, that's a very fixed mindset, and address, okay, you started your day with cake, not the most effective. That cake is what percentage of your day? Very little, if we look at it that way. So it doesn't have to be like, I ate the cake, well, now I'm not going to eat anything for the rest of the day. That's not going to help our goals. It doesn't have to be, I ate the cake, so screw it, I'm going to eat whatever I want for the rest of the day. It can be, okay, I ate the cake. What does that look like? What is the macro breakdown of that? Okay, definitely need to boost up the protein. Definitely need to be aware of my intake for the rest of the day so that my food can be more in alignment with my goals, right? Eating cake and then starving ourselves, or eating cake and then saying F it for the rest of the day. None of those things are going to be helpful in our goals. But when we can pause and say, cool, ate cake, not the most effective, don't feel the best, but I can take the shame out, I can take the guilt out, I can take the I'm bad because I ate cake. It's rewiring those thinking patterns so that we always have choices. Okay, you chose to eat the cake, you chose to eat the cake, but now let's pause and let's make a different choice. It's breaking the line of what is our common thinking pattern so that we can still have a very successful day, even if we started our day off with cookies or cakes. And into that too, and going back to the fixed versus the growth mindset, right? The fixed would be, it's ruined. The growth mindset would be like, it's not ruined. I'm going to pause and I'm going to take a different action here. And I'm going to be really mindful of what I'm choosing to eat. And I'm going to give myself grace and all of those things. It's also a place to reflect and say, I was super tired. Oh, what happens when I'm super tired? I gravitate toward maybe something that's sweet or a treat, or so it just is a continual teacher when we allow it to teach us instead of shaming and all or nothing fixed mindset there. Perfectionism. So perfectionism can be a little bit sneaky. It can just feel like these are high standards. I feel good when I hit my goals. I feel good when I'm hitting those checklists, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes we meet clients in a place where if it's not perfect, and there's definitely, like I said, some intermixing of fixed and growth mindset with perfectionism. But striving for perfection can also mean well, it's not the right timing. Like I'm so busy. When I'm less busy, then when my kids aren't so needy, then I'll focus on myself because it's not perfect timing, right? So this could be perfectionism over timing. This could be perfectionism over, I have so many things on my plate. How will I still, balance all my different roles? And so it can lead to a place of like paralysis and reminding ourselves that the the things that don't go just perfect, it's a learning opportunity. My kids love it when I say, what an opportunity to learn from this, because it really is. Like instead of just saying like getting, we all have things that can upset us as parents, but instead of like just getting mad about something that happens, it's like, what do we get to learn from this, right? And that's such a teaching moment for me, is like in just that parent-child relationship, but we can also do that for ourselves. Like instead of being mad at ourselves that it's not perfect, we can say, okay, what's going on here, right? And this is, it takes time and it takes effort, and it's a different pattern. Because if we're used to certain thinking patterns, that's just our autopilot. And for whatever amount of time that's kept us safe, that's our normal. And so that feels better than shifting into a new thinking pattern. But that's where the slow, consistent effort to switch up those changing patterns are going to make vast, huge changes for us. It just takes time and effort. So again, a misstep or something not going quite as you planned or not perfect is just an opportunity to give ourselves grace and say, what do I get to learn from this? What's going on here? And when we pause to think about the opportunity to learn from it, we're still having success. And I think sometimes, often with my own clients, again, I love to show them like, you might feel like you're not getting success because the scale hasn't changed in 2 weeks, but can we pause for a moment and look at how are your cravings? How is your, um, you know, what's happening with your biofeedback? It's all of these things that it's not just, we have so much more depth than just like, what is the scale saying, right? And so when we can help remind you guys of that, that's super helpful. And pro the process is not going to be perfect. The the even as you are making progress, it's not going to be exactly linear. And I would say all of us coaches agree in the fact that when we have someone who is like, I'm going to do it 100 to 110%, 24/7, you're not going to see anything different. Eventually we're going to see that no one can keep that up, right? So having someone even doing consistently over time 85 to 95% and letting life be life, more success. So perfect is not the ideal. Negative self-talk, we've been there, right? What is that critic saying? Sometimes that inner critic is so loud it's hard to ignore. And in my own life, I let negative self-talk dictate how I saw myself and my goals. And I feel like mine wasn't necessarily super harsh and mean, but like these standards that were like through the roof, kind of mixed in with the perfectionism. But when we can, and the other thing, sometimes it's so loud, and sometimes if we're not even noticing what that inner dialogue looks like, then I would almost guarantee it's not coming from a very positive place. Most people, when they start to become aware of their inner dialogue, they're like, oh, yeah, it's a little bit high standard. I wouldn't talk to my child like that. I wouldn't talk to a best friend like that. I wouldn't have that kind of expectation on someone I cared about. So why are we putting that on ourselves? Again, our inner critic or that inner dialogue can come from a lot of mix of places. But we get to be the narrator of that. We get to say, oh, yeah, I actually don't like the way I'm speaking to myself here. And so again, it's a pattern break. And it can literally be just stop. I'm going to stop. When I started to become aware of my own inner dialogue and that it was highly critical, I would start singing a song when it went to criticism. I would just, whatever song came to my head to break up that thought pattern, I would use that. Sometimes it was Yankee Doodle. But if my thought patterns went to a negative place, I would just say, stop, we're rewiring this. And it doesn't mean we can't give self-feedback. It doesn't mean we can't say like, oh, that wasn't, the best way to handle that. Or, we can always, there's room for growth and change, but it doesn't have to be this harsh place of, like we live in this body, mind, and soul. We want it to be a nice place. So that's going to help buoy us up better for our goals. So noticing the thoughts and flipping them. If I, again, sometimes it was interrupting it with a song and sometimes it was shifting it. I'm not strong enough and turning into like, I'm getting stronger every day. I'm showing up. It's the affirmations that are, even if at first you kind of feel like you don't believe them, it's like, no, I'm showing up. I'm getting one more drop in the bucket to show that I matter and I'm taking care of myself from a place of love, not from a place of like, I will love you when you're this, right? And that really helps us in our goals. Fear of failure can hold us back in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to stepping outside of our comfort zone. And anything that is change, even if we are choosing into it and we know it's going to be for our better, it's uncomfortable. If you're like, yes, I want to sign up with a coach, I can't wait. Guess what? It's still going to come with some discomfort because we are in some sort of autopilot. And to get out of autopilot and switch it up, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to create more opportunity, more growth, and more getting in alignment with how we want to live in inner connection.
Okay.
So again,
Can
it's
you go with
just,
them, Chewy?
this is just
I think you can mute all.
another opportunity to see what is the opportunity here, right? Like I feel like I'm failing, but where can I have growth here? Or where can I shift a thinking pattern here? Or what is this thinking pattern that keeps coming up that I can be more aware of so that I can redirect it, right? We're not broken. But when we can be more aware of our thought patterns, that can absolutely help support our goals. I would invite you to come back to, this is one of my all-time favorite tools in the last like 10, 15 years of Byron Katie. She wrote a book called Loving What Is, and she calls these 4 questions the work. And I have taken many statements, thoughts, thought patterns to these questions. And I do encourage, like, take it to paper as you first start doing this, and then you can like process it through with your mind as you go, and it becomes kind of just like a way to break up thought pattern. So it's taking these questions. So is it true? So let's just say, I'll just put a broad one on, like, I'm never going to be able to make change, right? Like, this always happens. I start a program, then I fall off. I suck. I'm never going to be able to make change, right? So is it true? And so questioning that, right? Instead of just like, yep, that is the thought loop, and I'm going to continue to think that, believe that, that's my reality. And so my actions reflect that. Coming back, breaking up the thought pattern, getting out a piece of paper, meeting yourself and saying, is that true? You might say, yes, it's true. And you might have evidence for pages to back it up, but can I absolutely know that it's true? Absolutely know that it's true, that there's no way you can make change. And starting to look at like, okay, but there's maybe other times that I thought I couldn't make change and I did, and I can. So doubling down on that question, can I absolutely know that it's true? Writing it down. How do I react when I believe that thought? So if you, even with your second question, you're like, yeah, absolutely true. It's not going to change. It's always going to be the same. How do I react when I believe that thought? You're probably going to continue very much in your same action pattern. That, your day-to-day looks pretty similar. It's just, it's fixed mindset. So the next question, who would I be without that thought? And here's where the processing can come in. Imagine how freeing it would be to drop that limiting belief. So we're going to uncage from that thought and say, well, who would I be if I could think, no, I actually can change? Spend time with that, right? You are breaking up a thought pattern. And then I like to tell my clients too, love yourself enough to do it. So in this, it would be 3 to 5 actionable steps of how do I make this happen? How do I start living? If I want to start showing myself that I can make change, maybe it's one baby habit. Maybe I go outside for 10 minutes every day this week. That's my one little drop in the bucket for change. So writing down examples of how you can step into that change, step out of that cage, and then love yourself enough to do it is the one that I like to say, like, okay, now it's the action time. Love yourself enough to do it. Quit shitting on yourself and step out of your cage into a new thought pattern and new behavior. So, oh, and I was going to tell you, if you have kiddos or if you love books, so Byron Katie just recently put this out. It's called Tiger, Tiger, Is It True? 4 Questions to Make You Smile Again. And this is awesome. It basically goes through these 4 questions in like a little kid way. So I love this book for my kids so that they can start recognizing when their thought patterns are limiting them. So yeah, I would absolutely invite you next time you have a thought that's blocking you. Maybe it's like this family Christmas party is gonna suck. Go back to that. Go take your 4 questions to that, and you get to choose how you respond to that Christmas party. And maybe you come up with, maybe I'm not going to this Christmas party. Maybe a new boundary is set, right? Like we don't have to do things the way we've always done them. And it starts with our thoughts. So some additional tips to strengthen your mindset is setting realistic goals. Lofty goals are great, but can be overwhelming. Break them down into smaller goals. This is something we do all the time with our clients is we need a breakdown from the bigger goals, and that's going to help us to get where we want to go and see our progress along the way. Tracking our progress along the way, we're celebrating all the wins, mentally, physically, emotionally, whole body progress in our thinking patterns, in our awarenesses, in our pause. We are all of it matters. I often tell my clients, as we find more homeostasis within, and our thinking absolutely plays a part in that, that is when the ripple effect happens with our progress. So finding a support system, whether that is within the HF community, in the app, with programming, with a coach, friends, family, like we are not meant to do things alone, and we aren't meant to stay in our head alone with our thoughts. So, maybe it's steps of processing, and then it is important to use our voice. And like, once you've spent some time processing that, putting it on paper, saying, wow, what would it feel like if I actually shifted this thought for once in my life? Because we do have lifelong thought patterns. We do have things that we feel like help us and they don't. So when we can shift that, it's helpful to voice that. Maybe we're not voicing our entire process with someone, but like, hey, I just want to share this with you, someone we can trust. This is how I'm trying to shift this pattern. And we're putting it out there. We're affirming it instead of just, again, keeping it in. That also helps us to create change. We're going to celebrate all of those small victories, the things that are adding up, the way that we are, we're not going to become aware of a thought pattern, shift it once, and then it's never going to want to revert. We're going to have some reverting, but we're going to even recognize when we become aware, like, ooh, there's that thought pattern again. We're not going to judge it. We're just going to say, oh, there it is. We're going to work on that. Our mind is so powerful, and we can really use it to help us thrive in our daily life in a upcoming season of things can be higher stress. We can also choose deliberately, I don't want the holidays to feel stressful. We can choose that. And so what do I need to do personally? What can we do personally to choose into what we want that reality to be? Does it mean saying no to things? Does it mean taking some things off of our plates? We don't have to, again, do things the same way we've always done them. So with awareness, we can start replacing old patterns with supportive ones and just making our journey more fulfilling, intentional, growth minded, and seeing all of the opportunity to learn about ourselves more deeply and care for ourselves more deeply so that the actual process is enjoyable. It's not like, well, this sucks until I get to my goal. That's miserable. No one's going to like that. So when we can find the joy in the process, another step, another habit that I offer up to all of my clients is, what's your joy moment today? Like, choose something that brings you joy. If your favorite coffee mug is dirty, then maybe you clean it out and you use that coffee mug just because it makes your heart smile. Is it stepping outside? It's finding joy in those little moments as you're meeting yourself to work on those bigger goals. So I think that one of the biggest things is just giving yourself grace as you recognize, and if you're choosing to become aware of thought patterns that are not helping you, just give yourself grace. Like, if you've had these thought patterns for 25, 30, 40 years, it takes some time, but it is a beautiful thing to uncage ourselves and allow our thought patterns to be more aligned with how we want to feel and how we want our goals and success to look. So thank you all for being on the call, and happy shopping if you're wanting to do any coaching with our Black Friday sale.
Thanks, everyone. Have the best week. Thanks, Jess.
Yep.